Cambridge City Council now be in session. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Conaway.
Here.
Evancho. Loffman.
Here.
Leonard.
Here.
Marlin. McMillan. Here. Wolverton.
Here.
Entertain a motion to excuse Councilman Evancho and Marlin. Ms. McMillan.
So moved.
And Mr. Wolverton.
Second that motion.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's granted. Reading of the minutes. Used to Jack always having his hand up. Mr. Conaway.
Make a motion to dispense with.
Mr. Loffman.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that motion's granted. Mayor's report.
Good afternoon, Council. Good to see everybody, at least most. And it's that time of the year where everything's going 150 mile an hour. I don't know if that ever changes, but it just seems like it. In front of us here, we got number one, City Engineer Jeff McConaughey requests to enter into tax abatement contract for BG Enterprises, LLC. Two, request from the Budget Committee to adopt the 2019 interim budget. This will be similar to what we asked last year. We've had one budget meeting already, but again, until the more numbers become available, this seems to work the best without getting too keyed up before.
Both of those requests will be referred to the Finance Committee.
Appreciate that. I do have a couple things I just wanted to put out there. Most of us already know this, but if you don't, I want to make sure formally that we do. We lost a police chief, a former police chief, not all that long ago. And I didn't know how many really got all the word of this and that. They'd had to ask for a private funeral, and that's what they had, the family. We lost Wayne Lucas. He was 88 years old, and he passed away November 8th, 2018. I think growing up in the 70s, you know, you look up, and that's the police chief. And that's one of the ones I sticks with this mayor. And did a fine job, and then on one of my finer occasions, I got a ticket or two, and I made my attempt sitting in the courthouse. And he walked me up and sat me up front with the best of them. And I got informed that I owed some money, and he walked me to the room where he paid that. So needless to say, Chief Lucas always sticks with you. Always had a friendly smile. Didn't have time to say most of the time, but if he let you know about something, you knew he had something to say. We're going to miss him. And as a city, anyone that rises to the rank of chief, seeing how that is, that's just not for everybody. It takes a lot of work, a lot of focus. It's tough. Some bad days, some good days, but the fact that they served, and we appreciate that. As we move forward, is my hope that I can hope that we can lead to, I think as we move to the police stations where it's currently at, as we dress up the grass area on the side, is my hope that we'll have a little grove of trees there and probably put a plaque of past chiefs. That would be something that I'll throw out there in case I signed my way not to make it out there. But anyhow, that's great. I think a pretty good idea. Next up, this was over the weekend. We're living in a time and place where you watch your mentors in front of you go sometimes, and it's hard. Art Shepard, 107 years old. 107. Wow. I'm sure most of you have seen different times. And again, the Art Shepard McManus Fund has financed United Way, YMCA, Cambridge Community Improvement Corporation, Cambridge Main Street, Grace Pantry, Hospice, just to name a few. Every year you can put in for grant applications most of the time. They got a fine board. Someone that always gave back. You know, we always hear, well, no one does anything about this, no one does anything about that. Well, here's one that did that, and then again, before he left, $1 million to the proposed cancer hospital out there. You know, it just deserved to be mentioned. Again, we've been, you know, it's not about the money. but it's about the compassion and the caring, and this man had it all. He worked hard every day of his life. His family worked hard all his life. He always was humble. He did pass away in Columbus, and that's where he lived his final years. But there's been strong contacts in town here, family. And I could go into many other definitions here, but the bottom line is, to both of them, and many more. I mean, I think about that a lot. I mean, we could probably do this. What makes one none? They lived their life here in town, you know, and it matters. But from time to time, and you know, just want to take a moment to think about that. Next up, just a footnote. I don't, again, know what parts of town or where you're at out there, but we had a couple houses removed that have been pretty tough out there. We had one on South 9th on the 200 block right beside our fire station that had been quite a challenge for quite a while, and it is now officially out of there. And I do believe long-term we've got plans over there. Maybe the fire boys have got some ideas over there, but I'll leave it at that for now. And then 408 Clark Street, you might have seen some people moving around there in the last couple months. It's proposed to be knocked out of there this week. Again, weather permitting. For example, Southgate Parkway, we've been waiting forever to fix a collapsed drain back behind the old county coin back in there. We got the track hoe there, we got everybody ready to roll. Mother Nature won't lay up. Water just keeps on coming up, and we're afraid to dig it and cause a bigger mess. So, just the talented people there to deal with that. Our shed program, every year, we again, if you're current on your water bill and pay taxes and all that, you're allowed to apply. Kim Conrad's department to tear down some old sheds in your backyard. Sometimes this helps a senior citizen that may not have the resource, or anybody for that matter. And 2 have been taken down so far, one on North 12th and one on Foster Avenue. Not exactly the address, but really doesn't matter. It needed removed. The property owner asked it for it to be done, and we did it in-house through the street department. And the cemetery department, when they have time, will roll in and throw some seed and grass seed and finish up behind that, and we appreciate that. And just so you know, I know it, and you need to know it, in case somebody walks up to you. We have a difficult situation that's been going on for quite a while, over a year, on North 7th, between 135 and 137, pretty much close to the law director's office, a block away. Back in the Direccio time, it's the last building still from the storm, had the roof ripped off of it. The people that own it took off. We cannot find them. Through private ownership rights, I'm not going to give you the long version, take it from me. We are working very hard with the county, the city, the private property owners on both sides, which one is the county. And I think we've been talking to Bill along the way to make sure we don't step in it. And we're looking through a grant to help us assist us. And we're talking to the bank that owns the mortgage of the people that took off, trying to find a way to put the money together. It's over $100,000 to clean this up. And you know, from time to time, we're getting cranked a little bit. Someone calls in and is like, hey, what are you going to do about that? Well, first of all, the city by itself can't and won't spend that kind of taxpayer money on that. We need to have everybody involved. We need to get this property owner, and we're trying everything we can. But we're working on it. It's all good right now, and got some real good support from the private ownership on both sides. So we're going to try to work on that and continue. Christmas parade came and went really well. Downtown looks phenomenal I don't think I have to promote that anymore, and it's already being promoted. And again, it's just nice to have the traffic flow and the people coming and going. And I think the small business Saturday went real well. A lot of people, I at least had 2 today tell me that couldn't get in the store. I mean, that many people was walking around, so that can't be a bad thing. Last week in my travels, I went down to the salt factory. We've heard of it over the years. Some people have good things to say, some people want to pick at it. Bottom line, I'm glad it's there. It's got a place for some kids to hang out when they, just don't have anywhere else to go. And quite honest, there's just a lot of things going on. And Zach Anderson, if you've ever met him before, a great young man, well-versed in life in general. He's a young guy, but he's energetic. He cares. He's a pastor. And he's perfect for that mix, right, for some of the difficulties. And a lot of people, so I look for, again, I got some information on that. And truthfully, take a moment to go down and check it out. That's the best way, you know. But Zach had a big night, had open house, and I'm sure the internet was doing something. I don't know what that was, but they were snapping pictures all over the place. That's all I have tonight, Council President. I know you laid the meetings out going forward, and we'll do the best we can.
Sure. Any questions of the mayor this evening? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
City Attorney?
Good evening. I don't have a formal report, but Mayor Orr mentioned Wayne Lucas, and I thought since we're not going to be able to do a lot of business, maybe I would share a story with you that I thought was appropriate and shows how Wayne really is still an influence going forward. Shortly after I had taken office, I was having a conversation with Wayne in the old municipal court building. He was bailiff, and I said, Wayne, what was it like when you took over, when you became a policeman? It was over 50 years ago at that time. And he said, well, Bill, you show up. He said, go find a uniform that almost fits you. And he said, I found one. He said, of course, I was skinny at the time, so it was too big. And get your gun and get your badge. And oh, by the way, here's a book that's got the laws in it. Now, go walk a beat. Go get into something. And I said, well, did you read that book? And he said, only the first page. I said, do you remember what was stated on that first page? And he said, yeah, the words were written, you are a servant of the people and should never aspire to be their master. And I've remembered that to this day. He said, when you get up in the morning, if you hold public office, when you go in, if you remember that every day of your career, you'll have a good career. And I try to remember that and act on it every day. So God bless Wayne Lucas.
Thanks, Bill. That's good. Okay, we'll move on to communications.
I have a request from the city auditor for the Finance Committee to consider her annual request for the end-of-the-year transfers and appropriations.
Mr. Loffman.
Motion to refer to Finance.
Mr. Leonard.
Second.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion's granted. Next, please.
I have a request from our law director to transfer $793.82 from travel and school to miscellaneous.
Ms. McMillan.
Motion to refer to Finance.
Mr. Wolverton.
Second the motion.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that motion's granted. Anything else?
That's all I have.
We'll go to reports of committees.
Report of Finance Committee, November the 13th. We recommend that the following transfers and appropriations be approved. $20,000 from the unappropriated Street Improvement Fund to Street Improvement Services by Contract. Increase the appropriation in the City CHIP CDBG administration by $28. Increase appropriation of the City CHIP Home Rehab by $3,300.
Any questions of the committee on that report? Next, please.
Report of City Services Committee, November the 13th. We recommend that the Secret Santa program be authorized to solicit funds.
Any questions of the committee on that report? Next, please.
Report of Finance Committee, November the 13th. We recommend that council authorize the administration to apply for Firehouse Subs grant.
Any questions of the committee on that report? Next, please.
Report of Finance Committee, November the 13th. We recommend that council authorize the administration to apply to the State Fire Marshal's Office for Marks grant.
Any questions of the committee on that report? Next, please.
Report of Finance Committee, November the 13th. We recommend that council authorize the Department of Economic and Community Development to apply to the Governor's Office of Appalachia for East Wheeling Avenue Sanitary Sewer Line Project and declaring an emergency.
Any questions of the committee on that report? Next, please.
Report of Finance Committee, November the 13th. We recommend that council authorize the Department of Economic and Community Development to apply to the Ohio Development Services Agency for a residential public infrastructure grant and declaring an emergency.
Any questions of the committee on that report? We're trying to go as slow as possible here. Next, please.
Report of Finance Committee, November 13th. We recommend that council authorize the municipal court to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Attorney General's office.
Any questions of the committee on that report? Okay, we'll go to unfinished business. Anything? If not, we'll go to the audience portion. If anybody would like to take more than 5 minutes, they can approach the microphone. State your name and address, and there's nobody tonight? Okay, we'll reluctantly move on to new business. Anything? Okay, we'll go to the ordinances and resolutions. our situation is tonight, that the ordinances will be read for a first reading, and we'll go from there.
An ordinance of transfers and appropriations.
Next, please.
An ordinance authorizing the Secret Santa program to solicit funds.
Next, please.
An ordinance authorizing the administration to apply for Firehouse Subs grant.
Next, please.
An ordinance authorizing the administration to apply to the State Fire Marshal's Office for Marks grant.
Next, please.
An ordinance authorizing the Department of Economic and Community Development to apply to the Governor's Office of Appalachia for East Wheeling Avenue Sanitary Sewer Line Project and declaring an emergency.
Next, please.
An ordinance authorizing the Department of Economic and Community Development to apply to the Ohio Development Services Agency for a residential public infrastructure grant and declaring an emergency.
Next, please.
An ordinance authorizing the law director to accept and appropriate the federal VOCA and state SVAA grants.
Next, please.
An ordinance authorizing the municipal court to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Attorney General's office.
Okay. Those will all be placed on for first reading, and will be subject to probably a special meeting. So we'll yeah, we're right now we're trying to get these things because of the emergency clause on 4 of the issues. We'll try to get this thing completed tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest, but stay tuned. Miscellaneous. Mr. Loffman, you want to set the time for the Finance Committee?
Yeah, Finance Committee will be next Monday at 4:30 p.m.
Okay. All right. Anything else on miscellaneous? Mr. Leonard? No? Okay. Mr. Leonard?
I was going to make a motion, we adjourn.
We unfortunately are adjourned.